Good morning, Anil sir.
Good morning, Dr. Arjit.
Sir, should we start our recapitulation session as our first speaker join us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Wait a
sir.
minute.
This 3 days online training program on landslide risk reduction and resilience. Myself, Dr. Harjeet Kaur, currently working in GMR Division NIDM as a young professional, and I will be the moderator of today's session. Before we move ahead, let us quickly recapitulate our yesterday's session. First presentation was made by Mr. Anil Kathat, young professional NIDM, where he talked about the national interventions on landslide risk reduction and resilience. During his presentation, he talked about High Power Committee, where he highlighted the mandate of the HPC was to prepare comprehensive model plans for disaster management at the national, state, and district level. During his presentation, he also talked about the guidelines on management of landslide and snow avalanches. The guidelines incorporated time-bound regulatory and non-regulatory framework, and 9 major areas were acknowledged for the systematic, synchronized, and effective management of landslide hazard. He also highlighted initiative taken on national intervention. Second presentation was presented by Mr. Hari Kumar, Coordinator, Geohazard International, where he talked about the landslide risk mitigation in hill cities. Mr. Hari Kumar underlined the growing earthquake risk in Himalayas. He added that these earthquakes have progressively affected more and more population in the region, showing the increasing risk. Some of these earthquakes have triggered rockfall, landslide, blocked river, and created flood as the temporary blockages are overcome by rivers. He also provided several suggestions and recommendations for building capacity, reducing exposure, etc. He also talked about the potential problems of unregulated excavation. Last presentation of the day was made by Dr. Tapas Martha, head GGD, GSG, RSA, NRSA, ISRO, and gave a detailed presentation about the role of remote sensing and GIS technology in landslide disaster. During his presentation, he mentioned that 12.6% of India's is vulnerable to landslide. He added that India ranks first among all nations in the world in terms of number of fatal landslides. On many occasions, minor landslides give way to major valley blocking landslides. He also underlined that ISRO provides support using satellite images for crisis management during the natural disaster, and rainfall is the main cause of landslide in India. During presentation, he also talked about the concept of landslide early warning and mentioned and underlined that landslide early warning is the integration of antecedent rainfall based landslide trigger probability and intensity duration based threshold. Uses some background noises. Yeah. Uses a gridded for the 3 hourly temporal resolution and advisor watch warn for moderate to high landslide susceptibilities areas based on RF based triggered probability and intensity duration threshold. Now, this is all about the yesterday presentation, and the today session consists of 2 sessions, that is technical session and validation session. We have senior level of resource persons, expert, professional and functionaries who have very long and meaningful experience with vast knowledge on the subject. In the technical session, we will be joined by Dr. Vikram Gupta, Scientist F. Wadia, Dr. S.S. Randhawa, Principal Scientist Officer, HIMCOST, and Dr. Varun Dutt, Associate Professor, IIT Mandi. In the valedictory session, we will be joined by Professor Surya Prakash, GMR Division NIDM, Shri Ashish Kohli, Commissioner Municipal Corporation Shimla, and Dr. Harkanchan Singh, City Project Coordinator, UNDP. Let us start with our technical session. During the technical session, there will be a presentation, and once the presentation are over, we will have question answer session at the end of each presentation. It will be a great opportunity for you to improve and clear your doubt. So your active participation is very important to us. Kindly use Q&A window only to raise question. For our first presentation, we have Dr. Vikram Gupta. Dr. Vikram Gupta is a scientist F in the Department of Geomorphology and Environmental Geology at the Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. His area of interest are engineering geology, natural hazard, and landslide. Over to you, sir.
Audible?
I am still you, sir.
I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And let me share my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. You're
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm working in Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, as has been told. And Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology is an autonomous research institute of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. It has existence of more than 50 years, and it has mandate to carry out research related to all aspects of geology, be it natural resources, natural disasters, including earthquake, landslides, climate change, dynamic evolution of the Himalaya, etc. We are about 60 scientists, and everyone is working in his own field of specialization. And I'm working on landslide and related aspects for the last more than 20 years in Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology. Well, I have organized my talk so that first I'll discuss very little about the formation of Himalaya, then some facts and observation about landslides, then landslide lake outburst floods, then landslide related to climate change, and then how to differentiate between naturally occurring landslide and anthropogenic triggered landslide or man-induced landslide. And I'll try to indicate or say a few words about the way forward, how we have to go ahead in our landslide research and hazard mitigation strategies. Well, about millions of years ago, Indian plate moved northward, northeastward, collided with the Tibetan plate, and thus has resulted into the formation of Himalaya. The length of this mountain chain is about 2,500 kilometers, and the width of this mountain chain is about 200 to 300 kilometers. The movement is still going, still continuing, and as a result, stresses are being built up, and thus we have a lot of geohazards in the mountainous terrain, including earthquake as well as landslides. In the Indian context, we have 12 Indian Himalayan states. We call it Indian Himalayan region. This region is very important as it controls the climate of the region as well as of the surroundings, as it prevents the moisture-laden winds to enter into the Tibetan plateau. And it holds a lot of natural resources like glaciers, water, geothermal springs, and besides there is a lot of natural hazards, including earthquake and landslide. Well, geologically, the Himalaya is divided into sub-Himalaya in the southern part. Then we have lesser Himalaya. Then we have higher Himalaya and the Tathin Himalaya. Each is demarcated by major tectonic line or boundary. Can you hear? Because electricity has gone from this side. It will take a couple of minutes.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, okay. And these are main Himalayan thrust, main boundary fault. And in terms of geomorphology, the sub-Himalaya ranges from about 400 meter to about 2,200 meter, and the lesser Himalaya from 2,000 to 4,000 meter, and then the higher Himalaya, and then Tibetan Plateau. Well, having said brief about the Himalaya, the landslide is a very normal geomorphic process, is a part of any normal geomorphic cycle. Wherever there is slope or relief, the material is bound to fail or slide down. That's a simple terminology of landslide. But landslide is a complex system, is interplay of geology, geomorphology, geotechnical characteristic, as well as anthropogenic intervention of the slopes. Is a primary hazard as well as secondary hazard. Primary hazard means it occurs by itself, whereas secondary hazards means it is associated with other hazards, like it's associated with the earthquake. If earthquake occurs in the mountainous region, we have landslide. If there is a flash flood, then we have landslide. If any mountainous region in any area, if there is a volcano, then we have landslide. That means landslide also occurs as a secondary hazards. Well, if you look at the general distribution of landslide, then about 15% of the Indian landmass is susceptible to landslide. This is in comparison to 16% to earthquake hazards. Landslide are local hazards, but kill few at a time, unlike earthquake. But every year about 500 people get killed because of this landslide hazard. The cumulative effect of landslide is much, much higher than that of the earthquake. Therefore, it is very important to study landslides. And in the present climatic scenario, the landslide hazard is increasing in the Himalayan region. I'll try to discuss why it is increasing and what is the way forward to mitigate the landslide hazard. If you look at the distribution, these are distributed throughout the Himalaya, then the western coast, as well as the eastern coast. But the good part is that in terms of landslide reduction strategy, landslide are most potentially predictable geological hazard. This is unlike earthquake, which we cannot predict, but landslide, we can definitely predict landslides. And also important thing is we possess technical know-how to identify the existing landslide as well as the landslides that are potentials that will fail in the slope that will fail in future. We can identify all those slopes. Well, if you look at the factors affecting the slope, then gravity is acting on slope 24/7. Because of variation in climate, there is freeze and thaw action on the slope. And because of infiltration, the groundwater table on the slope is fluctuating, sometimes going up, sometimes going down. We have alteration and weathering. On and off, we have earthquake. We have neotectonic activity on the slopes. And we have human activities on the slope in terms of construction of road, tunnel, dam, bridges, etc. And all these factors lead to destabilization of the slope. And these are the causes of landslide. That means there are n number of causes of landslides. Well, if you look at the processes, then in the Himalayan region, we have all the processes that occurs in landslide. We have rain-triggered landslide. These kind of landslides are generally large in dimensions, arcuate in shape, and mainly occur at the valley bottoms. We have earthquake-triggered landslide, and these kind of landslides are generally shallow, rockfall, debris fall, and mainly occur at the top of the mountains, not at the valley bottom. Sometimes at the valley bottom, yes. We have reservoir-induced landslide. These mainly occurs by the side of or rim of the reservoir. Then we have neotectonically induced landslide. That means these are very slow-moving landslide. We call it creep. These are not very disastrous, but sometimes these are very, very hazardous in terms of damage to road, buildings, or other aspects. Then we have man-induced landslide. These mainly occur by the side of the road constructions. Well, the most important thing that need to be studied for landslide is we have to understand the nature and geometry of the plain along which the material has slided down, and we call it slip surface. And until unless we know the slip surface, it is very difficult to control the landslide. And mind you, in the Himalayan region, this is very difficult to interpret the nature and the geometry of slip surface. But if we want to control, then we have to understand the nature and the dimension. How can we understand the geometry of slip surface? We have to carry out the geological field mapping. We have to do various geophysical survey like GPR survey, resistivity survey, shallow seismic survey, and then we have to get it confirmed by drilling methodology. But until unless we know this slip surface, it is very difficult to control. And this is the mistake many a times we are making in our controlling strategies, that without understanding the depth or the nature of the surface of rupture of slip surface, we try to control the landslide. Well, this is important aspect, how we can quantify the stability or instability of slope. It is done by a term known as factor of safety, and factor of safety is simply the ratio of backward force, we call it shear strength, and the forward force, we call it shear stresses. And if factor of safety is 1 or less than 1, then the slide occur. If the factor of safety is quite high, then the slide will not occur. And accordingly, we can classify our, this is the factor of safety cycle, like hydrological cycle, carbon cycle. We also have a factor of safety cycle. Let us take that at any given point of time, the factor of safety of slope is quite high. It decreases with time. This is x-axis time, and this is factor of safety. Because of weathering, because of rainfall, because of erosion, the factor of safety keep on changing. But over the time, factor of safety reduces. It reduces drastically during heavy rainfall, then moves up during dry season. But if you look at on a large scale, then factor of safety keep on decreasing. Then because of erosion, it decreases, then it keep on decreasing, and time come when the factor of safety becomes 1. And here the landslide occurs. And if we don't interfere with the slope, then factor of safety again increases quite high. This is called factor of safety. And accordingly, we classify our slopes into stable slopes. If factor of safety is, let's say, between 3 and 4, we classify it at moderate slope. If factor of safety is between 2 and 3, we classify it as unstable if it is between 1 and 2, and we classify it as highly unstable if it is between 1 and 1.2 or 1.3, something like that. And here the concept of early warning system lies. And yeah, we study landslide either prior to its occurrence or after its occurrence. We study landslide prior to its occurrence because we want to understand the landslide hazard that is needed for development and planning purpose. We study landslide after its occurrence because we want to control landslide. If we want to control landslide, there are certain standard SOPs. We have to carry out surface investigation, we have to carry out subsurface investigation. And for surface investigation, there are 3 M's: mapping, modeling, monitoring, and modeling. We carry out mapping for engineering geological characterization, monitoring for assessing any movement on slope, and modeling for assessing the development of stresses on the slope, and subsurface investigation to understand the nature of the slip surface. Well, for mapping, we have to carry out large scale mapping if our intention is to control a single landslide. If we want to know the susceptibility of area, then we have to know the special distribution of landslide. We have to prepare the inventory of landslide. This is inventory of landslide for the entire Uttarakhand. And accordingly, we have prepared susceptibility map. You can see that this area is quite vulnerable to landslide or highly hazardous. And to understand the nature and mechanism of landslide, we have to go for drilling, we have to go for GPR study, we have to go for geophysical investigation like resistivity survey, we have to install web camera and keep on taking pictures continuously. We have to do LIDAR survey and we have to carry out total station survey at well. And nowadays we mostly do mapping, large scale mapping using drone survey. And this is very much in use nowadays. Well, I'll show you some of the examples from Himachal Pradesh. What has happened about landslide, lake outburst, flood. Well, this is a map of Kinnaur district from Nathpa to Khab, and then we have Spiti River here, we have Satluj River here, and this is Tibetan. This is a border, and we have Tibet here. Well, at Nathpa in 1993, there was a small rockfall, very small rockfall. See the consequences. This has blocked the course of the river Satluj, and consequently, the tail race tunnel of the Sanjay with Priyojna has been blocked, and this has caused a lot of damage. Then ultimately, ITBP has to blast this off so that there is continuous flow of the Satluj River. And also in the Tibetan region at Parechu in 2003, there was a very small rockfall in the Parechu Nala. It was a Nala, it was not a river. This has created a lake. You can see the enlarged view, and it was blocked, and this has resulted into creation of lake. And the length of this lake was more than 2 kilometers, width was about 1 kilometer, and the depth was about 35 to 40 meters. And when this has breached, this has a lot of consequences. This has made a lot of disastrous effect in the entire Kinnaur region, entire Satluj Valley. This happened in 2004, I think, 3, and there was another blockade here along course of Satluj in 2000. I'll show you some of the pictures of the disasters that has occurred because of these very, very small, these are not very big landslide, but very small landslide. I have the movie. This is a simulation movie, but if I need time, I'll show, otherwise I'll skip this movie. Well, you can see there were about 7 bridges along the path of the Satluj in Kinnaur district, and all these bridges has been washed away. This was a complete surprise because landslide occurred in the Kinnaur and we have in Tibet, and we had no clue what is happening in the Tibetan region. Look at the discharge. The normal discharge of river Satluj is about 200 to 300, but during flooding in 2000 and 2005, the discharge was more than 3 times or 4 times, and this is flood level, and discharge was more than that of the flood level. Look at the ravaging Satluj is almost flowing by the side of the road, National Highway 22. This is the Khab confluence of Spiti and Satluj. This was our discharge site. It has been washed away, and that you can see the topography. Entire topography has been changed because of the small rockfall and consequently landslide, lake outburst, flood in the region. This is another bridge. Because of toe erosion, I mean, it has been washed off. This is near village Akpa or Skiba. National highway was going along this side of the river. Then it has to be diverted on the other side, and the other side was also in danger because the entire village is on the quaternary deposits, loose material. Everything has been washed off by the flood. Even the army camp has been washed away because of this flood. You can see the entire communication system in the area was, choked for more than 6 months. And these are some of the quantification of the damage that in 2000, more than 156 people washed away, and total loss was about more than 10 billion Indian rupees. In 2005, the total loss was more than 8 billion rupees. Now I'll try to show the landslides which are climate change related landslides. We have data from all over the northwest Himalaya, but I'll try to show you data from Satluj Valley. If you again go from Nathpa to upstream up to Maling or Doubling or Khab towards north, then we have rainfall in this area. This is a dry zone. What we have observed for the last 10-15 years that rainfall has moved further north, and northeastern side. Earlier, this was rainfall dry area. Now it is rainfall area. You can see this is landslide was mapped during 1990. We have very few landslide at Nathpa, at Tapri, and in this zone, very few landslide. In this zone, we don't have any landslide. But when we visited area in 2017, there was a lot of landslide in this zone. And all these landslides are climate control, or I'll say because of the influence of rainfall in this area. Look at the kind of slope. These slopes were very stable during dry conditions, but when these slopes come in contact with water, then they start moving. You can see the reel, and we expect that the slope will move in future until they acquire the angle of repose. This we call it climate change related landslides in the valley. This is another example. This is a very small rockfall, Urni rockfall. This was mapped in 1990. And in 2016, this is the condition. I mean, this river has blocked because of this landslide, and all the entire village is in danger. And this is the spatial temporal growth of the landslide. Look, in 2004, the zone of detachment was only 77 meters. In 2012, the zone of detachment was 82 meter. 2014, it has increased to 104 meter, and 2016, it has increased to more than about 400 meter. And you can see it is continuously increasing, and it has blocked the course of the river. And we can imagine what will happen if there is a formation of lake. There are various methodologies what we have adopted that we try to understand the spatial temporal growth of landslide, then whether these landslide will form lake or not, what will be the dimension of the dam, and whether dam will be stable or not. There are various geomorphological indices. I'll not go into detail, but we can know beforehand whether there will be landslide, lake outburst, flood or not. That's possible. Now with this case studies, we indicated that if the entire material will come down, then there will be a dam of 76 meter plus minus 30 meter height, and then we have also simulated the debris flow, and we understood what area will be in danger because of the landslide, lake outburst, flood at Orhu. Now, there are various indices. Again, this is a mathematical formula. Again, I'll not go into detail. But what we have observed is that with these two indices, we can understand which landslide is triggered by human activity, or which landslide is triggered by naturally occurring processes. Like there are many landslides which are naturally occurring landslides. This is Browniger landslide, is very near to a major thrust. I mean, it's very difficult to control such kind of landslide because they are related to movement of earth processes. This is Vajri landslide in Yamuna Valley. Puari landslide, everyone knows, in Satluj Valley, Rekong PO. Again, this is Akpa landslide, is because of the movement as well as presence of quaternary material. This is a landslide because of the because of the proximity of major thrust or tectonic planes. And mind you, it is very difficult to control such kind of landslide. If we want to control, we are just wasting a lot of money. And the long-term solution for mitigating such kind of landslide is better to avoid or realign the road. You can see, I mean, this landslide along the road is very difficult to control. It would be, I mean, in the interest of the people, or it will be very easy to realign the road if we can do it. This is Kalia Sol landslide occurring for the last more than 60 or 70 years in the Alaknanda Valley. And these are other landslide, another example of Kalia Sword or Sobi landslide. Well, during recent year, what we have observed is that because of change in rainfall pattern, most of the hilly towns like Nainital, Shimla, and Mussoorie, there's a lot of landslide in the township. I'll show you that when we have looked at the rainfall pattern, then we have observed that the pre-monsoon rainfall in the area is increasing. Annual rainfall is more or less same, but pre-monsoon means we have concentrated rainfall during short period of time, but the total annual rainfall is more or less constant or same, and that has major implication of slope stability. You can look this Balyanala landslide in Nainital as it was an old landslide, but now it became inactive and is very difficult to control such kind of landslide. Again, I will recommend that we should learn how to live with this kind of landslide. Well, you can see that intensity of rainfall prior to 2019 was about 30, and after 2009 or 10, it has become to about 46. And we have concentrated landfall at some period of time, like in 2015, the intensity was 68, in 16 it was 62. When the intensity became about double than that of the normal, then the landslide starts moving. Like we have Balyanala landslide, we have Sherkadanda landslide in 2016. But rainfall, annual rainfall is more or less consistent. There is no much change. Now look at the vulnerability at Shimla. I mean, there is no space. I'll not talk about earthquake, but if earthquake happens, then there will be a secondary landslide hazard. And we submitted a report to NGT, and NGT take a note of it. You can see this is a High Court building in Shimla. The drainage has been blocked by construction of the building. You can easily see that slopes are moving as indicated by tilting of tree. And look at the construction by the side of the drainage on very steep slope. And the rock is very friable. I mean, you can't do anything. And based on this all kind of vulnerability analysis, the NGT has taken a view that there should not be any construction in the Shimla township. Rather, Shimla should be decongested. I mean, everywhere in the outer Shimla is growing like anything. There is a haphazard construction everywhere. This is a nala, and by the side of the drainage, I mean, there is a lot of construction. The need of the hour is that on the basis of intensity and probability of landslide, we should divide the entire area into red zone, where no construction is allowed, blue zone, where restricted construction is allowed, yellow zone, where construction is allowed, but information about the hazard and disaster and risk should be given to the ground owner. And the critical slope should be monitored with the early warning system. Well, there are some important non-structural mitigation measures. I'm not going to detail about the structural mitigation measures. Structural mitigation measures are like construction of breast wall or retaining wall. These are very, very expensive, but at times we have to go for it. But non-structural mitigation measures can be adopted very easily. These are implementation of bylaws and regulation for the construction. We have submitted a report to NGT and other organizations, like where to build, where not to build, what to do during construction. These are kind of things easily available in a public domain. And also we have to have a public awareness program, training activity, evacuation plan, and we have to have a public awareness material, all these kind of things. At the end, I'll conclude, and the take-home message is that landslides are predictable. You can predict landslide. It's not like earthquake that we have no idea about the earthquake hazard. Therefore, risk reduction measures are a good investment. Risk management should be based on good understanding of landslide process. We should know beforehand which kind of landslide is natural occurring, which kind of landslide is because of climate change, which kind of landslide is because of the human activity. And the third point is local involvement is of vital importance, and simple and not too technical solutions are preferable for landslide risk reduction strategies. And thank you very much for your patience. If I have time, I would like to show a simulation movie if the organization agree. Thank you very much. Should I can you give me 2 or 3 more minutes?
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. Then let me just can you see the movie or not?
Sir, right now it's just uploading, sir.
Is uploading. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can you see now?
No, sir.
First, I have to, I think, mm, how can yes, I have to, I think, just,
Yeah.
no, system got hanged, I think. I cannot move my, yes, just wait. Stop
Okay, sir.
sharing, stop sharing, yes. Yeah, I think now it is. Yes, can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is a simulation movie, and I'll run it for maybe 2-3 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Well, this is a Tibetan plateau, and slopes are very steep, and valley is very, very narrow. This actually happened in 2000 and 2003 in the Tibetan region. And well, there is a blockade now, and because of the fighting effect, this is a outburst. Now, this happened in the Satluj Valley during 2010. Well, thank you very much. If you have any doubt or any question, I am ready to answer.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir highlighted the vulnerability of Indian Himalaya and showed some example from Shimla town. And sir also showed example of a climate change induced landslide from the Satluj Valley. Thank you very much, sir, to join us. Sir, we have some question raised by our participant.
Yes,
So
please.
first, stop landslide with moraine and ice slide in Himalaya of mountain peak of Neelkant and Nanda Devi and Gandhi over at Kedarnath area. Last year, mountaineer death due to sliding in Nanda Devi areas. What is the reason that time 2019?
I couldn't understand your question. How to stop landslide? Did you ask that?
Okay, sir, just a minute, sir. I
Yes.
repeat it once again, sir. So, how to stop landslide with moraine and ice slide in Himalayas? In the peak of the Neelkant near Badrinath mountain in Nanda Devi and Gandhi Sarovar at Kedarnath area.
Yes. You know, you said that how to control landslide in the higher Himalaya where the
Yes.
material is quite loose.
Hmm.
And you might be knowing there is a Char Dham Pariyojana project is going on. And under this Pariyojana project, widening of the road along Badrinath, Kedarnath, and all the four dhams is being undertaken. And I am one of the member of this committee. And we have recommended many measures, including construction of snow gallery and construction of tunnels, because I told you that some of the landslide we can't do anything. We have to live with many landslides. The only thing is we have to realign our path. And for many stretches like Patal Ganga and Kalia Sod, we have recommended that either you build two bridges and go on other side of the river or construct a tunnel. And most of our recommendations have been accepted, and that's being done nowadays. But many landslide, I think, can be taken care of by structural measure as well as by non-structural measures.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the next question is there any software or early warning system for landslide? What about the rights of the landowner in case of landslide? Please comment on this, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Is there any software? There are a lot of software. I'll not
Okay, sir.
name any software, but these are available in public domain by which you can analysis, you can model your slopes. There are a lot of software, you can search internet on this. And
Okay, sir.
right of owners of, I I think I may not be able to comment on this. This is a state subject and
Yes,
government.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving to our last question by S. Prakash ji. So what is the safe slope in hard rock areas like Kodagu in Karnataka?
What is safe slope in hard rock?
Yes, sir, hard rock areas.
Hard rock are mostly safe until unless they are being touched. Hard
Sir,
rock are mostly, yeah, but
okay.
I
They
don't
are
understand the
asked,
question.
yes, sir. Matlab, sir, he is asking from like Karnataka, they are facing some landslides, sir. So that's why he asked ki what is the safe slope in hard rock areas like in Karnataka. He's just putting one example of landslide from their area.
No, the
So
thing is,
while yes, sir, because
I
we know
told you
that,
that.
but why is Karnataka? There are some areas of Karnataka they are facing landslide problems, sir.
No, I told you there are n number of causes of landslide. You can't say that if there is a hard rock, then it is safe, then landslide is not going to occur.
True,
That's
sir.
not
True.
the case. Number of landslide. If in between there is 1 millimeter, just 1 millimeter clay joint or clay band, then the entire hard rock, then the entire slopes, whether it is of hard rock or soft rock, this will move down.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, to look at the geology in entity, we can't say that this is hard rock and just 1 millimeter clay
Mhm.
and within the hard rock is good enough to slide the entire slope. Therefore, we have to investigate and see that what kind of geology, because there are just by saying that hard rock, there is a hard rock and it will not slide. This is not a proper way to say that.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Hope this answer will satisfy our participants' query. Now, moving on with our second presenter, we have with us
Thank you,
Dr.
ma'am.
S.S. Thank you, sir. Now we have with us Dr. S.S. Randhawa. He has been associated with Himachal Pradesh Council for Science, Technology and Environment since 1993 and presently working as a principal scientific officer. He has the credit to undertake snow and glacier studies in Himachal Pradesh for the first time using satellite data along with Space Application Center Ahmedabad and generated the complete inventory of Himalayan glacier in Himachal Pradesh on 1:50,000 scale. He also carried out studies for the mapping and management of natural disaster in Himachal Pradesh using satellite data and also carried out training need assessment in Himachal Pradesh for various stakeholder department as the major input for the government of Himachal Pradesh. Now I pass on stage to Dr. Randhawa. Over to you, sir.
Just a minute, please.
Okay, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir, your PPTs is visible and your audio is also.
Okay. Should I start now?
Yes, sir, sure.
Thank you, Dr. Harjeet. First of all, it's my thanks to NIDM for just providing me an opportunity to interact with the officers from the Himachal Pradesh government and other stakeholders on the hazards, particularly the landslides. So I'll just, my predecessor, Dr. Gupta, has just talked about the landslides in Himalayan region as a whole in the Indian environment. I'll take you to the particularly Himachal. Uh, what Himachal is prone for and what are the different hazards in Himachal for which the state is vulnerable.
Excuse me, sir. Please make
Yes,
your PPT. Sir, press F5.
F5.
Still, it's
Is it okay? No. Aditi,
no, sir.
is it coming? No.
No, sir. It's still in presentation view, sir.
ये देखना है full screen. Now it is done?
Yes, sir. Now it's okay, sir. Please start, sir. Carry on, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So, first, I what is the difference between these words? Like hazard, it's a particular, it's an event that takes place in a nature. Like if you say that earthquake that happens in a desert place like Rajasthan, where there is no built-up environment, there is no habitation. So then we call it as a hazard because there is no loss of life, there is no loss of the environmental issues, so we can say that it is a hazard. When it interacts with the environment, there are losses are associated with that hazard. Then we can say that it is a disaster. So these two things, two terms, we have to make very clear that hazards. We should be very clear while using in our plans, like where what is hazard and what is a disasters. Right. We should make very clear that hazard is an event, whereas disaster is its effect, post hazard effects. So these two things are clear. Now, so means if we have to define the disaster, this is a disruption to the normal pattern of life. Then it's as a effects on the human life, like loss of life, injury, hardship, adverse effect on the health, etc. Then it's on the effects on the social structure, like it may causes destruction to the damage to the structures, buildings, communication, and essential services, and what the community needs then. So means we have to provide emergency shelter, food, clothing, medical, and other social care to the community. So then we call it as a disaster as a whole. So I'll just start with the national vulnerability. What is the national vulnerability of our country? Then I'll come to state vulnerability and how we can do the hazard risk vulnerability assessment. Like this is our country is prone to about 60% of landmass of the country is prone to earthquakes. Then about 16% of our landmass is prone to droughts. Then about 12% that is prone for the floods, 8% for the cyclones, and 3% about for the landslides. The landslides which we are talking today, that is constitutes only 3% of the total landmass of the country. So if we talk about the state vulnerability, since because all the participants for today's training program from Himachal, so they should be clear. They should know that what the state is prone for, what are the natural hazards for which the state is prone, and what are the man-made hazards which are likely to be affected in the state. Like if we talk about the natural hazards, we have earthquakes, we have landslides, we have flash floods, snow launches, droughts, hailstorms. Then if we talk about the man-made hazards, we have the accidents, we have the fires, forest fires, electric fires. Then we can also the building collapse, then serial bomb blast, then festival-related disasters. Like one of the disasters that happened in Nana Devi in Bilaspur district, where because of some heavy, you can say that loss of life was happened in the Nana Devi temple because of the stampede during that period. So if we want to study the hazard in particular, we have to identify the source of the hazards. What is the source of that particular hazard? If we talk about this, from the source point of view, there are 5 types of hazards are prone in the state, like geological, atmospheric, hydrological, fire, and accident related. So if we talk about the geological, then most common hazards in geological origin are earthquakes, avalanches, and landslides. And if we say about that atmospheric, we have the cloudbursts, lightning, hailstorms, snowstorms. Then hydrological hazard, we have floods, drought, dam failure, etc. Then the fire and the accidents. So this is the overall picture of Himachal, which he has taken from the space. This is a satellite picture. So if you see these two water bodies in Himachal, the prominent is the Pong Dam and this is the Gobind Sagar Dam. So whatever white you are seeing also on your screen, that is your snow. I mean, this is a more or less permanent snow because the picture was taken in October, although it is a little bit old picture of 1998. So now the snow line has shifted little bit upwards, but this is more or less a permanent snow line. So these are the drainage systems, like this is the Vyas River in Himachal, this is the Satluj River in Himachal, which enters Himachal at this place in Kinnaur district, which Satluj River, which originates from Tibetan Himalaya. Then here we have the Baspa River at the Karcham. Then the Satluj joins the Govind Sagar Dam. This is the Vyas, then it goes to the Pong Dam. Here we have the Chinab River, Chandra River. This is the Bhaga River. Then it becomes the Chinab River. Then it goes to the J&K and then it's to the Pakistan. So these are main, and this is the Ravi River which originates from Himachal and enters the Punjab into Pakistan. So these are the five major river systems in Himachal which either originates or passes through Himachal. So now I'll take you just give an overview of geological hazards in Himachal, what like earthquake, landslides, and avalanches. So if you have to study, if you have to know about the geological hazards in Himachal Pradesh, you should know about that because geology is the main dominating controlling factor in the earthquake. So you should know about the area which you are residing or which you are working, what type of geology is there. Because geology controls so many hazards and it causes so many hazards like earthquake, landslides, and other associated hazard fields. So geology is the main dominating factor. So this is the overall picture of geological map of Himachal Pradesh. So these are, if you see these lines, these are the major tectonic lines, which we called as a thrust or active faults and like etc. So this is a Jwalamukhi thrust, and this is the MBT, which we call as a main boundary thrust. So this portion is the Shivalik sediments, and these are the other metamorphites and the other pre-tertiary sediments which are exposed in Himachal. So if you see here, as we talk about the geology earthquake hazards in Himachal, because this portion of Himachal Pradesh below this MBT is tectonically is very active and causes number of the prominent historical earthquakes in Himachal, because this is a very neotectonically it is very active. Because if you see, if you are standing at a Kangra just looking towards the Dauladar range, you will find that the older rocks are just on the top of the mountains. Means older rocks are exposed on the top, whereas the younger rocks are exposed beneath the older rocks, which is not practically possible. Geomorphologically, this is not possible, because if we talk about the geomorphology, the older rocks should be down, whereas the younger rocks should be up. So this is uplifted areas, which is a neotectonically evidence, which causes this area to be very active in terms of the seismicity of tectonic is concerned. That is why we get most of the earthquakes associated in Himachal in this part of the state, like Chamba, Kangra, Hamirpur, and part in this area of the state. So this Kangra district and part of Chamba district is tectonically very active. That is why most of the earthquakes have occurred in Himachal in this area. Besides this, the other activity is in the other part of the state is attributed with along the faults and other transverse lineaments which are available, which are found in the other parts of the state. So this which and also the major portion of the landslide is in Himachal is mainly within the above this MBT, or we can say the main central thrust within the metamorphites, which causes the landslides activity in Himachal. So geology, we have to understand the geology in general in Himachal. So this is just I'll just give you an overview that because the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate movement of the Indian plate and the Eurasian plate, the northward movement of the plate, and this is the seismic map of India in which we are residing in this part. This is the zone 5 and this is the outer one is the zone 4. So we are into this is the seismic map of India, which I have divided the whole country in 4 zones. Earlier it was zone, so there was zone 5. Now after Bhuj earthquake, they are revisited and they have clubbed the zone 1 and 2 into one zone. So now we are there are 4 zones and we are residing in zone 4 and 5, which are tectonically very active, and most of that tectonic activity is in zone 4 and the 5 of the seismic map of India. So these are the different types of movements of the tectonic plates, and in the Himalayas, the earthquakes are basically actually the movement is because of the plates. They are the converging plates, and the Himalayas are rising, and that is why the tectonic activity in the seismic activity in the Himalayas is because of the converging movement of the plates. So this is the tectonic map of Himachal Pradesh. Like you can see, most of the this is the dark zone, dark red color is the zone 5, and the light brown color is the zone 4. So we have about 32% of the total geographical area of Himachal is in zone 5, and the rest about 68% is in the zone 4. So in this zone 5, you can see it that these lines, these are lines used this which we call as geological tectonic lines, which causes along which these are the weak lines along which the movement of the rupture of the tectonic activity generally takes place, as we presume. And there, besides these lines, there are some transverse lineaments along which movement takes place, and the epicenters or the earthquakes activity occurs. So this is the earthquake map of Himachal Pradesh. You can see here this point is the epicenter of the Great Kangra earthquake of 1905, which has the most. This is the most historical earthquake in the Indian history, which causes about loss of about 20,000 human lives. That too, when the population was not much in 1905, and most of the areas in district Kangra was to the total destruction in that area. So this is just a description of the zone 5 and 4. This the major tectonic lines like MBT, Vegrata, Muscat, MFT, Jalamukhi thrust. These are the major tectonic lines which are observed in Himachal within the geological map of the state of Himachal Pradesh. So this is the total area of different districts like Kangra. You have how much area of Kangra in zone 5 and how much in zone 4, in Mandi, in Hamirpur, in Chamba, in Kullu. So we can say that most of the area like Kangra, Mandi, Hamirpur, Chamba, and Kullu, there are the most prone area districts from the earthquake point of view. Una, Bilaspur also zone 5 and 4. And these four districts like Solan, Lahore Spiti, Kinnaur, Shimla, Sirpur, they are zone 4. So we can say that we cannot overrule that the earthquake will not happen in these zones. They will happen, but their proneness is comparatively less than these other 6-7 districts of the state. So this is the analysis which we did one study in Himachal, taking the about 10 years and some past 100-year data of the major earthquakes. We have around 141 earthquakes having magnitude between 3 to 4, 22 earthquakes between magnitude 4 to 5, 43 earthquakes having magnitude 5 to 6, 7 earthquakes with magnitude 6 to 7, and only one earthquake with magnitude 8, that was Kangra earthquake of 1905. And there are less than more than 1,000 earthquakes having magnitude less than 3, because these are the small earthquakes which are only detectable through the seismograms, which are not not felt by the human lives. So this is one study which shows you the complete picture of Himachal Pradesh as far as the earthquakes are concerned. You can see here. This is the epicenter data which you have seen. I have just shown you in the previous slide. These are the epicenters of the past earthquakes in Himachal. You can see the density of the epicenters is very high in this part, which comprises of Kangra and the Chamba and part of Lahore Spiti district. Likewise, another cluster is in the east of Sundarnagar. So, moreover, the transverse lineaments are also high in this part as well as in this part. So these are the tectonic lines. This is MFT. This is Jalamukhi thrust. This is the MBT. So these are the major tectonic lines. Besides this, these are the all transverse lineaments, which you can see that all the curves in district Kangra, which originate from the Dhauladhar range, there are all linear segments, tectonically controlled and structural formed because of the structural origin of the drainage system. So we can say that this area is a very tectonically active. That is why in this part the cluster of past epicenter is very high. So we can say that this is a positive sign that the epicenters earthquakes activity is happening in the form of micro earthquakes. So the energy accumulation which is taking place in the earth crust is continuously releasing in the form of micro earthquake. That's a good Another cluster in this part is also good, that energy is releasing continuously. So we can say we don't expect a major earthquake in this area, but we can't overrule that major earthquake will not happen. It can happen at any time. So we have to prepare ourselves. How we can prepare ourselves? We have to construct earthquake resistant buildings, earthquake resistant built up environment, so that because earthquake does not causes loss of life. The built up environment causes the loss of life. So we have to build up the safe construction in our areas, so that the earthquake does not harm anyone. So another major area of concern is the Kinnaur districts, where the most of the activity in the form of major earthquake is along these major tectonic lines. So we can say that here this line has been activating all the time in the Kinnaur districts. So this is just an overview that where the tectonic activity and how the earthquakes have happened over the time in the Himachal Pradesh. So these are some of the pictures of the 92 earthquake. This is a Brajeshwari temple, Kangra, where the total destruction, 100% destruction was there during that time. This is also a village near Dharamshala. This is also you can see the effect of earthquake in Kullu also. Although the destruction was less, but it was there. So you can see Dharamshala. Again, you can see these are Dhauladar mountains and this is Palumpur town. Total destruction in Palumpur that time. So this is all about, this is just overview of earthquakes in Himachal. How do you feel that which are the areas which are prone, which are more vulnerable as far as the earthquakes are concerned? Now I'll take you to just to the landslide vulnerability, which are the districts which are the more common landslides in Himachal. Like Himachal, Himalaya, we have divided Himalayas into 3 different zones, like Outer Himalaya, Lesser Himalaya, and Higher Himalaya. As for the characteristics, there are different characteristics, like Higher Himalaya, mainly snow-clad mountains, steep slopes, devoid of any vegetation, no habitation. So we are not much bothered about the Higher Himalayan range, because if there is any landslide, that does not need any concern as far as the landslide activity is concerned. We are just concerned with these 2 zones, Lesser Himalaya and the Outer Himalaya. So because most of our developmental activities are taking place within the Lesser Himalaya and the Outer Himalayas, most of the thickly populated areas are within these zones, most of the agricultural land is within these zones, most of the developmental works are taking place these. So we are much more concerned about these 2 zones, Lesser and Himalaya and Outer Himalaya, as per the landslides are concerned. So this is the our lower Himalaya, lesser Himalaya. This is the middle Himalaya, and this is the higher Himalaya. So you can see we are worried about as far as the landslides are concerned within these 2 zones, and we are not much worried about this zone, because nothing is going to happen if there is any landslide, except some lake formations which may causes some secondary effects because of the flood activity. Like if you see landslide induced hazards are there. Like if you have a Parachu, I'll just give you an overview of the Parachu in a time in the coming slides. So how much time can I ask the organizers, please? Dr. Harjeet?
Sir, 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these are the different districts. How much landslide area is prone for Himachal, like Bilaspur, Chamba, Virpur, different categories, severe to high, moderate to low, and how much total area is likely to affect because of the landslide. This is the landslide map of Himachal Pradesh as per the landslide atlas, BMTPC atlas. This is the hazardous vulnerability from the landslide point of view in Himachal, which are the areas which are low prone for landslide, which are medium prone for landslide, which are the highly prone for the landslide activity in Himachal. This is a whole total consolidated picture of landslide in Himachal. So these are some of the prominent landslide in Himachal, like Maling 1968, Kinnaur 1982. Then the recent landslides are the 2019 landslide in Kumarmi area. Then temporary landslide was formed because of the damming of a river in Nurpur subdivision. So this is the database of the Himachal landslides. So how does it occur? There are 2 causes, like natural causes and anthropogenic causes. In natural, we can see that pore pressure increases, geology, then decrease in shear strength to the, then tourism, then earthquake also causes landslide. Then another is the volcanic, which we are not concerned because we don't have the volcanic eruption in Himachal, but we have the anthropogenic causes like deforestation, interference with the changes in natural drainage, like in Shimla, we are just changing the drainage system of Shimla by a way of just obstructing the natural drainages and constructing so many parkings over in the along the channels. So these are the natural practices which we are interfering with the nature and converting the natural, changing the natural system into the for the public use. So these things may causes landslide activity in the mountain regions of the state. So like modification of slopes, overloading of slopes, mining activity. So these are the causes of landslides. So different landslides which are possible in Himachal, like first is the landslide which creep. It's a very slow rate of movement. Like if you see in the trees, this type of trunks down in the hockey, like how Blade says, it's a creep, which is unconsolidated matter, which keep on moving with a very slow speed. So these are the area which need concern. We should not go for any developmental activity in these type of terrains. Then we have also mud flow type of landslide, like if you see here in this stream, this is a stream because of the slow mud was flown in this diagram causes a temporary blockade in this stream. So these type of mud flow landslides are also there. Then steep slopes. Then we have the rock fall landslides are there in oak. Like this is the cliffs where the rock failures are there because of the cleavage or joint failure. So these type of landslides are common in Himachal. Then plain failures along the dip plains or dip slopes. These are the landslides which are common, the sandstones or sandstone clays formations like in Jogindanagar area, the whole Mandi, Palumpur, Jogindanagar belt is prone for the landslide activity. Then we have a debris landslides like here, it's unconsolidated material. Then we have the over saturation of the slope because of the agriculture activity. The slope failures that causes debris landslides. Like Shimla, we have a landslide at Shimla that there is because it's overburden is there. Then unconsolidated material is there. In a slope is does not have any protected slope, so which causes sinking. So that is why this ridge is a sinking zone because of the oversaturation of the slope. Like Krishnanagar landslide is there, the whole overburden is there, and it is sinking down because in the form of a small landslide. Then if you see that Reconquer landslide because whole agriculture activity, overburden, then infiltration of the ground subsurface water causing movement of the slope and in the form of a Kawari landslide downstream in the area. Then these are the slides in within the sandstone and clays in the Savatu, in the Sirmaur area. So these are the landslides which are commonly found in Himachal. So these are the secondary effects. Like secondary effects, some lakes are found. Parachu Lake in Himachal. I'll show you the. There's a picture of like Dr. Gupta just shown you that how this landslide causes damming of the rivers. So this damming is taking place. So these are the number of prominent landslides in Himachal which have taken place over the years. So these are the landslide donation in Satluj Valley. Like this is the Panginala landslide. So this is the old landslide along the Satluj River, which causes blockade near Bangchok. This is a mulling landslide because this land mainly the blights are there, schist is there, and lot of water is infiltrating within the landslide. As a result, this whole area is just keep on moving, and after that, this road was diverted from the top. So landslide in Kinnaur, this is a Lippa landslide in Kinnaur, which is just because of the landslide. This is a Kadrala landslide in Kinnaur. Again, the Hindustan Tibet route was along this on the right bank of the Satluj. It has shifted to the left bank of the Satluj. Like we are also having some developmental activities. This is a shoaling Nala near Nichar, and there is an edit of the tunnel Satluj Aljavian power project. So because of this, blasting. This landslide activated is the recent landslides when the hydro project was coming, and thereafter the government has to rehabilitate the village from this place. So these all these type of landslides are also while we develop some road in the mountains. So this is a very typical example because this is a river terrace. It's a very old terrace of Vyas River, and riverborne sediments are there. Nobody will say that landslide will happen in this area, but it is here because of the two reasons. This is a weak area, structurally controlled nala is there, and this infiltration of the agriculture activity, groundwater is just infiltrating inside and making the slope unstable because of the oversaturation of the strata. This landslide causes burial of the 65 people. Most of them are the students which are going along this road in the early morning of 12 September 1995. So this is Urni landslides. So this is another landslide which we have observed about 4-5 years back. This is the rock fall which took place from the Lawn Spiti area because of the rock failure, and this temporary lake was formed in this Billing Nala, causing although there was no destruction of human loss, but the agriculture activity was there, loss of agriculture activity. So these type of landslide, these type of activities are common in the higher Himalayan regions. So another landslide which have occurred in Himachal is a Shoulder landslide. This is a landslide, a very new landslide. This is a very gently sloping agriculture activity was there, and this landslide which we found that is basically because of the geotectonic activity in the region, because Jwalamukhi just passing nearby it, and there was no complete safe area, and because of the tectonic region, some this has area has activated, and there's a lot of crevices have been formed. So we can say that this landslide has occurred because of the tectonic movement in the area. Maybe some land earthquake has happened. Some major tectonic lines like Jwalamukhi thrust is passing very nearby to this area. So these type of activity are common in Himalaya region. So we can say that earthquake also causes landslide. This is one of the example of tectonic land-induced landslide in Himachal. It's a recent one that was formed in 2014 in Kangra district. So this is a Urni landslide in Himachal in Kinnaur. So another major landslide that took place in Mandi district was in 2017, in which two buses just worried and about more than 50 people lost their lives. So you can see here this is the Dharmshalas, sandstone clays and formation is there, and just you can see this is the ground of the landslide. From this landslide originates from here, and the buses were standing over there for the having dinner over there. Because of the landslide, they just came down, and about 50 people lost their lives. So this is the tectonic geological map of this landslide. The Roper Manali fault is also there. So basically, this is the landslide because of the tectonic disturbances in the area. So this landslide has also originated in the past, like you can say in 2001, 2009. This area, you can see this star is there. Then
Hello.
2011 again.
Sorry
Star.
to disturb you, sir.
Okay, okay.
Hello,
I'm just
sir.
yes,
Okay,
yes,
sir.
yes. Okay, just finishing. So this is. So I'll not touch the. This is all about the landslide. I'll just show you pictures. This is the flood hazard in Himachal. Just landslide induced, climate induced landslides or landslide induced hazard in Himachal. This is a Parechu lake. You can see this is geomorphic depression. Nothing was there. It's all the normal area. You can see this landslide occurred. This causes movement, no infiltration of water, and this total depression was filled up with water. Again, then 2004, this accumulated water drains off. Again, then 2004, 16 July, again landslide happened, and this caused accumulation of water. Then again, 21st July, then again 22nd, 26th July, this Parchu Lake was formed because of the landslide in the Tibet Himalayas. So since then we are just monitoring this lake, and you can see here this is in the Tibet. China part, you can say how the developmental activities are taking place. Lot of road network is being there, coming there now here. This lake road is coming in this region. So this lake we are monitoring every year from April to October to see if there is anything happens. What we could see this year that this land earlier the landslide was from this side, but from this year we could see landslide from this side also. So we can say that you can see slight accumulation of water is also again coming there. So this is another landslide which is coming in the area. So these type of observations which are monitoring with the help of satellite data and reporting to the government about the happening, which are not possible to do by any other conventional method. So we are taking help of the satellite high resolution satellite data and informing the state government. So like this is a your mud flow landslide. You can see here. So this is a flood, Moran Dam, glacier lakes which are coming in the Himalayan region. You can see here this is a big lake is coming in front of the glacier in the Laurel Spiti district. You can see this picture. This is the ice, metamorphosed ice, which is by the south of the glacier. This is a panoramic view of the lake. So these are the lakes which have come in the Himalayas. So the district-wise metrics of the vulnerability towards earthquake, landslide, flood, avalanche, industrial overall vulnerability. So these are the different maps which we have generated based upon the different district-wise vulnerability, earthquake, landslide, flood, avalanche, and industrial vulnerability. This is overall vulnerability of Himachal. This is highly vulnerable, very high. Then we have high. Then we have the moderate vulnerability. So this is all when we did one landslide vulnerability study of Kullu. We have divided using satellite. We have divided into three zones: very high, high, and moderate. These are the area which needs concern while we have to take while planning. These are the landslide, and we have to take care for all these landslide areas which are prone for the landslide activities. So now, based on this, we are developing the database for the whole Himachal and district-wise. We will be dividing the whole district in different zones that which areas are more prone for the landslide and which are safe as per the landslide. These are the strategies for landslide risk mapping, like you have to take some detailed study like slope, drainage, landslide incidences, geomorphology, land use, land cover. Then you have to make landslide inventory of your area, detailed geological investigations, secondary information, the precipitation data, mapping land use. So these are the strategies which you can have the your PowerPoint presentations, while it will help you in making your plans more effectively as for the district disaster management plans. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, there is so many questions raised by the participant, but due to time constraint, we will take only two questions, sir. So the first question is there any tech to stop landslides along the main roads built in hilly terrain?
Ma'am, there is no, we can also, we can just have the areas based on some secondary data and some detailed investigations that these are the areas which are prone for the landslide activity. But because some early warning systems have been developed, like if you have some GPS controlled installed in those areas, then we can say how much, what is the rate of movement of that soil or slope movement is there. So that way you can have some early warning system developed in some known landslides, so that we can have some early warning well in times and these landslides can happen. Technology is there, but you have some detailed investigations in terms of the geological as well as some instrumentation is required for that.
Yes, sir. Sir, next question is raised by Mr. Satish Rana ji. He asked, what are the strategies for landslide reduction in Sivalik Himalaya of Himachal Pradesh?
Landslide reductions. We have to just, but that
yes, sir.
Told the strategy, you have to go for some detailed investigation like geological investigation. Because for Shivalik, you have to divide you have to see which areas you want to do some investigation. Like if you see the upper Shivaliks or middle Shivaliks and lower Shivaliks, you have to identify the areas, then prioritize your areas and see some detailed geological investigations like what is the rock type, whether it is sandstone or clay, because the Shivalik we only get sandstone, clays, or the conglomerate. So we have to see the what type of geology is there and what type of remedial measures you can take in that area. Accordingly, you can plan that these areas as stable or these areas as not stable. Then you can prioritize your road network along within the Shivaliks.
Well said, sir. Thank you very much, sir, to join us.
Thank you so much.
Now we have joined by Dr. Varun. He is an associate professor in the School of Computing and Electrical Engineering and School of Humanities and Social Sciences at the Indian Institute of Technology, Mandi. Professor Dutt has applied his knowledge and skills in the fields of psychology, public policy, and computer science to explore how humans make decisions on social, managerial, and environmental issues. Professor Dutt served as a senior member of IEEE and as the principal investigator and applied cognitive science lab. He is currently serving as an associate editor of Frontiers in Cognitive Science Journal, a review editor of Frontiers in Decision Neurosciences Journal, and a member of the editorial board of the International Journal on Cyber Situational Awareness. He also is among the board of governors of RX Data Science USA and many other private limited from India. And in the recent past, Dr. Dutt served as a special topics editor in Frontiers in Psychology journal for a special issue and also as a lead author on chapter 2. He has co-authored more than 170 peer-reviewed publications. I pass on stage to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and my slides are visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yeah. So I guess several of the questions by the audience was about landslide early warning systems.
Yes,
And
sir. True.
in this presentation, we are going to present a Make in India early warning system, which we have developed at IIT Mandi. In this call, we also have my colleague, Dr. KV Uday, who is a geotechnical engineer and an assistant professor at IIT Mandi. And he will also be co-presenting the presentation with me. So as you can see, there are two logos on this slide. One is IIT Mandi, where we are in Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, actually Command Himachal Pradesh, in a valley which is prone to landslides and earthquakes. And also a logo of IIoTS, which is a startup company which we have recently started at IIT Mandi campus for providing landslide monitoring and early warning technology. So our motto is to build and save lives. So of course, faculty are always led by people who are their hands and feet. And in this case, our team consists of a senior advisor who has worked in the government on business matter. We have also a business manager. And in addition, we have people who are our students who have helped develop these systems. And some of them are pursuing their masters and PhD on our campus. So let's come straight to the problem. The problem is landslides, and landslides, as you know, is a major cause of infrastructure damages and deaths in our country. As you can understand, uh, of course, these are estimates from NIDM itself that more than 5,000 people affected with their lives, and also economic losses of more than USD 4 billion every year. And as you can see, landslide is actually India is actually the landslide capital. Unfortunately, the landslide capital of the world, with more than 1,000 deaths on average per year in India. There are some existing landslide monitoring solutions, and this actually led us. This was actually these systems actually are costly, and this led us to actually think of how we can develop technology which could reduce the cost, sense landslides, and make an impact in India and in the world. So, of course, I just want to show you these two pictures. One, of course, is this picture which shows the number of fatalities happening due to landslide, which is this gray line, and the black line, which shows the number of landslides that cause those fatalities. And this is over a period of 1 year. And as you can readily see that during the monsoon period, we have a kind of a jump in the number of fatalities. And one such kind of example, which Dr. Randhawa also presented, is this Kotropi landslide, where in 2017 people were lost and a lot of damages to lives happened. So such kind of damages are very frequent. Mandi happens, this landslide actually happens to be about 1 hour's drive from where we are. So I'll now pass on the stage to my colleague, Dr. Uday, to tell us about what are the risk mitigation frameworks before we come to landslide monitoring. Go ahead, Uday.
Okay, thank you, Varun, and I hope I'm audible. So thank you again for giving me this opportunity to NIDM as well as Dr. Varun for giving me an option to speak about this. And I have been going through a lot of questions by the participants in this particular who are talking mostly about the options what they have on stopping the landslides as well as monitoring issues. I think few of these particular points which I am going to present for next 1 or 2 slides will be giving you an idea about how to approach at least. Okay, and as I again told you. Again presented the same answer in the session that unless you have a proper investigation and a mapping of all the issues, you cannot go for any conventional or any type of method, which may not be a good idea. So based on this, yes, so based on this, normally when you look into the landslide mitigation options, then we have two. Okay, thank you. So we have two options, that is structural mitigation, by which we construct all these retaining walls or anchoring or any type of measures, including rock protection, or which are measures which we normally go for the site and try to construct. And the second we have is non-structural measures. Again, slide of this idea has been already given by the first speaker today when he talked about the rainfall thresholds which they have developed for the Balianala, as well as a few of the presentations by by Dr. Randhawa, who also talked about the zonal identification by using maps or maybe data-driven models by which they identify what are the areas susceptible for landslides. If you have seen a very good table which has been presented, in which they have shown absolutely what district can expect this type of problems and what is the scale of that particular problems. That is mostly we call it as zonal level. However, a few of the situations come when we have to go for local scale landslide. For example, in the landslide which has been again given by both the experts, they talked about a lot of life loss associated by one particular landslides or one particular slide which is taking a lot of lives, and the same presentation which is given by Varun just before this particular slide also highlights the same. So Varun, next slide. So when we are going for these particular options, yes. So there are a lot of existing monitoring technologies already, which starts from GPS, LIDAR, UAV, which already the first speaker has talked about. And next, we also talked about a lot of mapping, aerial mapping, and satellite imagery, which is again presented by Dr. Randhawa, followed by few geotechnical landslide monitoring systems, which probably you people should be knowing, which we call it in the name of piezometers or inclinometers or extensometers based on the requirement at the site. So all these particular methods which are already existing are cost exhaustive, and they also cannot provide you at a point where we talk about something called as real-time monitoring, because real-time monitoring is the most important when we talk about controlling the life loss associated with the landslides. So for this, putting this in our idea, so myself as being a geotechnical engineer and Dr. Varun being computer science, we came together in order to understand if there is a simple possibility of both real-time monitoring as well as wireless monitoring, including the low cost, which was a major aspect of our particular development, which we'll be speaking further to. So when we want to go into this particular option, next slide, Varun. So when we are looking to how to approach for these particular problems, first we have to understand the local phenomena or local site investigation. So for this, we have conducted a few conventional geological and geotechnical characterization. You can see there are a number of parameters which are presented on the right side of the table, while each of these parameter corresponds to the soils which we have obtained from the geological characterization, which are shown in the left side of the slide, where we are denoted by using green dots. If you see, so this particular data which we have collected from the site has a lot of variations, as you can also observe on the table which you have presented. Next slide. So based on this particular data, we took this data into, because these are collected from 82 different sites which are having both landslides as well as no landslides, and then we have use this upcoming upgrading technology which is called as machine learning, artificial intelligence, you can say whichever. So we have used the options available from machine learning, and we have conducted a study on how or which of these particular factors are indicating the possibility of having a landslide in the study region which we have selected. And we have found that there are few of the parameters starting from the down on the chart, which you can see the bar chart, saying something related to relative compaction, porosity, moisture content, permeability as well as internal friction. These are the major parameters which we have identified from our particular study. So based on this particular study, we understood that the 4 parameters, which is the relative compaction, porosity, saturated permeability, and angle of internal friction, they are more or less constant over the site, whereas the field moisture content changes with respect to the increase in the moisture in the soil because of rainfall. So being this particular analysis for rainfall induced landslides, we decided technology which we can use can have the moisture sensing as one of its parameters. So based on this, Varun, I can finish the next slide also. Yes. So based on this, we have selected important parameter for based on our understanding is the soil moisture sensor, and then corresponding weather monitoring sensors, including the rainfall and for rainfall, temperature, and light intensity, which are indicative of the upcoming weather or upcoming temperatures. And based on this, we also have included a confirmatory sensor, which is the accelerometer sensor. So at what moisture content is the soil moving? The accelerometer judges the movement in the slide. So thereby, we have included the part of accelerometer, which can give you 9 degrees of freedom, by which we can understand how this particular soil movement can this particular sensor. So over to you, Varun. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Uday, for enlightening us. So just to give you an idea, so this set of technologies or systems which we have developed didn't emerge overnight. So we have actually performed. So we, of course, as all research starts, we started from a lab environment where we first started getting confidence in the lab, taking the samples of soil, putting moisture sensors, able to do some measurements of soil. Then we built a ramp, and this ramp is simulated. You can say a simulation of a small slide where you can incline the ramp at a certain angle. You can pack it with moisture. You can put sensors, and you can start collecting data. From there, we were able to simulate smaller slides, and then we got confidence that our accelerometer and our moisture sensor and our other sensors like rain gauge and all are able to actually measure what we are trying to measure. This is movement. And then we also led to filing of some patents and other details. This was still lab scale. So now the next step was to go to field scale, which is can we do this on a real land, right? So this actually happens to be the Mandi Bajora road, which is an alternate road to go to Kullu Manali from Mandi district. And this actually is an active landslide right here. We are standing right on top. And what we've done is we have developed this system, which is there is a tension crack in the soil right here. And we have actually put these sensors on the tension crack. And what we're trying to see is how this crack is widening over a period of time. And as you know, this is, as Dr. Uday pointed out, this is a real-time monitoring system. So we are able to log values in real time, values of the weather parameters like temperature, relative humidity, barometric pressure, rain, light intensity. At the same time, the acceleration values and the change in acceleration values, including the change in angular velocity values, the soil stress, and the moisture in the soil. And this, of course, we can plot over time, and there is a real-time website where you can go and visit and check the values. And this gives us a confidence into that there is movement, day-to-day movement, or when it rains, there is movement across this crack. But it allows us to also talk about some causal factors like moisture in the soil, the weather parameters, the rainfall happening at that location, which may cause the slide. So beyond that, when we went to the field scale, then we said that, okay, let's formalize the architecture of the system. So the architecture of the system consists of a measuring unit, which includes a bunch of sensors, accelerometer for movement, moisture, and this is a non-corrosive moisture sensor, capacitive moisture sensor for measuring moisture in the soil. And then we also have ability to measure tilt at an angle because we have a gyroscope in it. At the same time, we also are doing measurements using wireline extensiometers, which we have also inbuilt made here. And this data is collected, and then now there are two problems in hills, as you know. One, of course, the power is not reliable, and typically in a landslide or a disaster, power is first thing which will go off. So we need a solar powered system. So we had to reduce the energy consumption of the system tremendously. And this was done through innovations in circuit design, innovations in bootloaders of the circuit and all. And the second aspect is the connectivity to the internet. So it's not that like I'm able to talk to you, connectivity and present slides. So we have some places where we may even have 1G or 2G connectivity. So we created redundancy in the system through, of course, data logger within the system itself, a micro SD card, which values in such cases where we don't have any connectivity. In contrast, where we have GSM or at least 2G, we can use that 2G connectivity using one of the mobile networks to actually take the data in a cloud where we can do thresholding. We can see what movements have happened over a period of time, and using those movements come to an idea of what is the intensity of different movements at different locations, and using that intensity we are able to generate alerts. Now, these alerts can be generated on mobile phones using SMS. We did a survey and we found that mobile with at least, an SMS, almost 95% people have a mobile phone these days, even if not the smartphone. So developing an app on a smartphone is not a good idea because smartphones only about 45 people, 45% people have, but many of them have those touch button phones. So an SMS alert works. But at the same time, we can also alert using email and through our website. So how does the alerting happen? So idea is that of course we can use kinematics or you can use some displacement. So you can come from an acceleration and you can integrate that acceleration to get velocity change in velocity and integrate velocity to get change in displacement. But when we get a bunch of idea is how do we say that this displacement is worrisome and some displacement is not worrisome. So the way out is to calculate a z-score, a dimensionless quantity, which is kind of telling us the deviation from the mean over a standard deviation. And based on the z-score value, we can quantify the percentile of the displacement, how big it is or how strong it is. And using that percentile, we can generate alerts of different kinds. So for example, on our system deployed at the Balianala landslide, which was spoken about, you can see that the alerts have gone from small soil movements to actually moderate soil movements. And this actually has happened over a period of 1 hour. And this, so we don't say small, we say small and moderate because we don't want to confuse people in telling them a z-score. But idea is that typically a 60th percentile or a 70th percentile is a small movement, and 80th percentile is a large movement, and a 95 percentile is actually a very large movement. So you can see that the intensity of the movement, like over a period of time, changing, and that is an indicator to the district administration in Nainital or to a location that you should do something about it or evacuate the area. So how does the system look like? This is our system. It basically comes with a panel, a rating gauge, a box which includes electronics, and you can see these set of wires going in the soil, and these are the sensors which are actually measuring the movement in the soil, the moisture in the soil, the force exerted, the soil stress. And in a landscape mode, this looks like this, where you have a bunch of sensors on landslide prone locations. They communicate data to a cloud where we do thresholding and data analytics. Now we are also doing data analytics and machine learning, and then we trigger warnings on devices. There is also an ability to create a local alert for people who are on the road or next living downstream down the landslide. This is done through wireless beacons, which include light and sound poles, which come online when movements of significant nature occur. So you can see that just to give you an idea, this is an example of a movement alert which I was showing you, and this is how the internal electronics of the system looks like. I'm not going to go in detail because of time. This is actually a Chitavni pole, the local alert pole installed at the Kotro landslide in Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, the largest landslide in Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, and also the landslide which actually has a system installed, 2 or 3 systems installed here, and this pole is communicating to the public on the road that if there is light and hooter sound on this pole, there is movement of significant kind, so do not cross this landslide. So such kind of Chitavni poles have been created and put on roadsides. This is another landslide, the Guma landslide Mandi, Himachal Pradesh, where we have another system installed and we are warning the road traffic here. So what kind of alerts come from the system? Rainfall is a large trigger of landslide. So our system is actually a weather node plus plus. So it actually looks up weather 2 hours ahead in time and generate weather related warnings, particularly rainfall of say 6 or 7 mm, which is going to happen with more than 95% chance 2 hours ahead of time. We also are able to generate movement when they happen of different magnitude. And then beyond that, we are now starting to alerts where we have, I'll just show you a small amount of machine learning we have done on predicting landslides ahead of time. So we can trigger alerts ahead of time, like a day ahead of time, and say that at this location, given the rainfall coming up, given the weather pattern, there is likely to be some movement of this kind. So, of course, the rainfall alerts could look like this. There is a significant rainfall alert coming and movement alerts. Of course, I have shown you there is a portal which has been supported by a number of funding agencies, including NDMA, Himachal, Himcoste, as well as DRDO, DTRL. And this portal is publicly available. You can go and visit it. So what we did was I wanted to present you a brief work on which is cutting edge now on how we can use Mandi district data to do predictive analytics on predicting landslides ahead of time. So we have these stations deployed. Mandi, we have more than 10 plus deployments. We have taken data of 5 stations and we used 80%. So what is this data? This is the data over a 2 month rainfall period when typically monsoons occur, and 80% being used for training the algorithms and 20% of it is used for testing the algorithms. We have taken different kinds of approaches: univariate, which includes looking at movement to predict text movement, and multivariate, which includes movement and other variables like temperature, pressure, relative humidity, rainfall, moisture in the soil, soil stress. And we have built these unique ensemble algorithms which are mostly neural network based. I'll give you an example of one such algorithm. So although the graph is, the figures may not be very clear, but just to show you, these are the 5 stations in Mandi town, and one of them happens to be Kotropi itself. We have not mentioned their names for specific reasons, but x-axis shows the dates, that is movement happening on a certain day, and y-axis is actually the movement happening in units of centimeter on mm. So in this case, you can see that there are movements and there are 2 curves here. The blue curve, which is visible, which is somewhere visible, small, is the actual movement. And the red curve is actually the predicted movement from our algorithm. And these vertical lines are that split between training and test. So if you see, the algorithm does relatively well even in the test side of the things. And this is predicting movement at the daily scale using machine learning and the data collected from our own systems. This is actually a study in 2018 at the Kotropi landslide, where our system came online. So yes, the 2017 slide occurred, and after that in 2018 there was a flash flood in the location, and luckily our system was already installed in early 2018, and you can see that there is movement in happening in that area on the 27th of July 2018. It had just rained a day before, and of course, July is a month of heavy rainfall. And this system alerted the district administration, and it actually caused people to stop the traffic in time. And then there was a flash flood. So we can say 4 or 5 vehicles, which were carrying about 12-15 people, were saved from getting washed away. If they were crossing during that time, the whole road was washed away. This is Deputy Commissioner Mandi District giving a small statement on our system. It was also covered by British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, and India Today.
Varun, it is not audible.
Yeah. So it's not alert. It's not audible, probably because it doesn't allow the speaker of the or video to go in. But yes, this is Deputy Commissioner Mandi District. He's basically saying that we have deployed these systems and they are helping us avert landslides in Mandi District. We have recently been working with Indian Railways now. This is a deployment which is along the Shimla Kalka railway track, the heritage railway track. We have deployed our systems in the Dharampur area. And actually, interestingly, there the problem was that there is a portion which they have actually reinforced. So they have built a structural reinforcement, a structural landslide mitigation measure, and there is a portion which is still barren, and they have used some Gabion and things. So we have put systems both in the unprotected area, the semi-protected area, and the well-protected area, where you can see actually a crack in the reinforcement, and we are even looking at how this crack is changing in the reinforcement. So what it's telling us that the system not only monitors landslide, it can also be used post structural measures which you take. So for example, if you built a reinforcement, you can even see whether that reinforcement is stable or not, because any movement to a reinforced structure might be damaging. This is some other examples. We are working in Konkan railways in Western Ghats, and this is the Padi tunnel in Goa. We are deploying a system. This is a watch cabin, particularly for this stretch. This is a 2-3 kilometer tunnel, and this actually is another very interesting case where this slide can actually block the mouth of the tunnel, and trails can get damaged or derailed, and lives can be lost. But more importantly, this actually is a high-speed track. So the trains run at 120 kilometers per hour. So the stopping distance of the train is actually about 1 to 2 kilometers. So we have to, if we are monitoring this side, the warning pole or the Chetavani pole has to be 2 to 3 kilometers on either side of the tunnel. And the tunnel imposes a large challenge in sending Wi-Fi signals or radio frequency signals across. So we are trying to attempt this deployment, which will be one of its kind in India and the world. We are also working with London Metro, London Underground, particularly looking at the Croxley station in northwest London, where there is a landslide point, and we are trying to put systems along the track to monitor landslide activity. So we have also won the awards in Himachal Pradesh for the system, the DR Himachal Pradesh. Also patents and publications have been filed. These are some of our patents and publications, and thank you. So if there are questions,
Thank you
we
very
can
much,
take
sir.
questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I have seen from Q&A window that Uday sir comment on one of the question raised by the participant. So Uday sir, would you like to elaborate on the question? It's regarding a software for early warning system.
I think Arun, you can take up the question. Hello. Okay, so there is no direct software available on early warning system because it is site based. So unless you have a hardware or a structure which you are already present in place, it will be difficult for anyone to go for any software.
Okay, sir.
But yes, based on the hardware or the monitoring system which is at the site, we can collect data, and that can be done in some softwares, which is machine learning, Python. It can be any other.
Yeah, and
Okay,
we are developing our own software. So basically, yeah, we are using open source technologies like Python, PHP, but the machine learning, the algorithms, data collection, all is being done indigenously. It's make in India. So using open source software, but the algorithms are our own. And of course, one option is we can package them and give the product out. But that also is being done through our company. So people can buy the system and deploy it in a location.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question is, which variable do you take into account when implementing an early warning system in a specific area? Like you have shown some example from Kotrupi landslide or other, sir.
Yeah. So Uday, would you like to start? Yeah. Okay. Uday, you are muted. Yeah. Okay. So Uday, maybe there is a problem. Uday, are you there?
Yes, Varun.
Yeah. So the question is related to what variables we take into account while monitoring slides.
Okay.
Would you like to comment on the geotechnical variables before we start
Yeah.
on the other ones?
So as I just put as a part of my presentation, or whatever presentation I have presented, the major parameters which we have observed for this particular location are majorly the porosity, permeability, and the relative compaction or the density of the soil at the field. So these are one parameters which we have identified for our particular area. But however, these parameters are not constant. We saw in a lot of papers that these parameters may change based on the soil. For example, I cannot tell you the same parameters will be existing also for Karnataka, or maybe
Yes,
in
sir.
Kerala it can be totally different. So
Yes.
a proper study has to be done accordingly.
Well noted, sir, and I hope this reply will satisfy our participants' query. And once again, thank you very much, sir, both of you, sir. Now moving to valediction session. In the Now I would request Professor Surya Prakash, Head GMR Division, NIDM, for his concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harjeet, for moderating the today's sessions. I'm very happy that our speakers, particularly Dr. Vikram Gupta, Dr. Sunjit Randhawa, and Dr. Varun Dutt and Dr. Uday Kala, all of us, them have made very good presentation, and they have tried to share their rich experience in terms of the innovations and also application of the technologies for risk assessment with respect to landslides, as well as mitigation and early warning systems. We expect that the concerned line departments, the local bodies, and our delegates would like to use that information and knowledge which has been shared by them, by the distinguished experts today. And I would request that based on these informations, they should develop their own plans of action against landslide risks and try to develop measures for enhancing the resilience amongst the communities. The respective departments, they should actually try to utilize the different softwares, the different techniques, tools and technologies which has been mentioned by our experts in order to assess the situation in their own administrative and functional areas or geographical areas wherever they are living. We have to actually do the right things at the right time, at the right place. Then only we can reap the benefits of this knowledge. Until unless knowledge is not practiced, it will not bear the fruits. So I would suggest that let's try this. As Robert Frost in his poem has said, that the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have lots of promises to keep. I have lots of promises to keep before I stop and sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So let's not stop with this webinar and the information. Let's take it to the field level, try to implement this information and knowledge into the practices, and bring landslide risk reduction and resilience in our different parts of the country, along with all others who have not joined with us. You should disseminate this information and try to bring forth the community resilience against landslide risk. We have the hills. There is a natural process that whatever has gone up will come down someday due to natural gravitational processes, which are gradual in process. But any sudden, swift, and uh, the appearance of landslides without information or without warning will actually put us into the risk. So let's not be scared by such phenomena and work upon them, get an early warning, and also try to prevent them as it is possible to prevent landslides by having adequate terrain information, meteorological information, seismic information, and interventions in terms of anthropogenic interferences. So let's work out all these things together in collaboration with concerned line departments and the experts available. Anything? So with these words, I would say arise, awake and stop not till the goal is achieved. So, hello. Yes, anybody has anything to say? So लास्ट में मैं एक शेयर ने कहा है कि मंजिलें उन्हीं को मिलती हैं जो सफर अख्तियार करते हैं, ऐसे मुसाफिर का तो यारो रास्ते भी इंतजार करते हैं. So let's start our journey towards landslide risk reduction and resilience. With these words, I thank you for this opportunity to give the concluding remarks. Back to you, Dr. Harjeet.
Thank you very much, sir, for your concluding remarks. In the end, now I would request Dr. Harkanchan Singh, City Project Coordinator, UNDP, to propose the vote of thanks for the 3 days training program on landslide risk reduction and resilience. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible. Please unmute yourself. I request host to unmute Dr. Harkanchan, ma'am.
I think there is some technical issue at the end of Dr. Harkanchan Singh. He is unmuted already.
Okay, sir, I think we should wait for ma'am.
Dr. Harjeet, in case it is not possible due to
Yes, sir.
technical problem, we can just conclude with the vote of thanks to all
Okay,
of
sir.
this program, no? Because it's going to be 1 o'clock now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, I think I request ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Your voice is not clear, ma'am. But your video is visible. It's better to off your video so that we can listen you, ma'am. Not audible, ma'am. Still.
Now? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are audible now.
Sorry for the technical issue.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Dr. Harjeet, sorry for the inconvenience.
No problem, ma'am. We can understand.
First of all, I would like to inform that due to some urgency, our Commissioner Sir Ashish Kohli could not be part of the valedictory today. So on his behalf and on behalf of the whole MC and UNDP, I take this opportunity to thank, first of all, Major General Manoj Kumar Bindal, Executive Director, NIDM, who has given us this platform at NIDM to reach the community, to make them understand the need and requirement of landslide DRR and resilience through the 3-day webinar that we conducted through NIDM. I'm quite sure that each and every participant 3 days will definitely agree with me that it was a great webinar put by NIDM, where we got the opportunity to listen to such esteemed panelists who shared the knowledge of their respective domains. The sessions were diligently highlighted the work that is taken in landslide mitigation around the country and how various techniques and interventions can restoration and how the infrastructure and community can be made more resilient. I'm quite sure that each and every one of us have taken something back from here during these 3 days to incorporate into our professional. I also express my gratitude to Surya Prakash, Head GMR Division, NIDM, for agreeing to undertake this webinar with his team on behalf of USAID, Government of India, UNDP, and Municipal Corporation Shimla, and also panelists, Dr. Josh from Geological Survey of India, Dr. Tapas Matha, National Remote Sensing Center, Mr. Hari Kumar from Geohazard International, Dr. Vikram Gupta, Vadia Institute, Dr. S.S. Randhawa from Pradesh of Science, Technology, and Environment, and Dr. Varun Dutt from IIT Mandi, along with Dr. Harjeet Kaur, Mr. Raju Thapar, and Mr. Anil Kathad, who have put the rest of the NIDM team for us. Thank you, everybody, for sparing the time and providing an ocean of knowledge to the participants. It was definitely a learning experience for all of us. I thank you all the participants who also took out the time for this 3-day webinar and have been part of it throughout the sessions over the last 3 days. I thank you, everybody, for diligently listening to the various sessions and asking questions from the panelists. And I'm quite sure each one of us have been have taken an ocean of knowledge from this 3-day webinar. At last, I would also like to express my thanks to our Commissioner, Shri Ashish Kohli, and Additional Commissioner, Shri Ajit Bhardwaj, MC Shimla, who inspired us to undertake this webinar on behalf of UNDP under the project of USAID, Government of India, UNDP, developing resilient cities through disaster risk reduction and climate change, which is undergoing under their banner at MC Shimla. Thank you once again to all the dignitaries, panelists, participants, and MC Shimla on behalf of UNDP for organizing and participating in the 3-day webinar on landslide risk reduction and resilience. And as Dr. Surya Prakash said, the journey has just started. So we should start from here and continue our work over the next period of our life, or we can say of the year and our work, so that we can help in reducing the landslide risk reduction wherever possible. Thank you, everybody, and over to my coordinator at NIDM, Dr. Harjeet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. With that, we are come to end of this 3 days training program. And on behalf of NIDM and UNDP USAID Himachal Pradesh, we wish all the participants a healthy and safe life. Stay healthy, stay safe. 2 गज की दूरी और mask है जरूरी to fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you all. And now I would request host to end the meeting.
Okay, Dr. Harjeet Kaur.